Ollie London. We have talked about Ollie London before. Well, the initial statement was before. What was it? When we talked about it before?
We talked about Ollie London, I believe, in the context of his transition from being transracial Korean back to a British man. But firstly, like, this fits into a larger conversation about celebrity plastic surgery culture.
Woo!
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
I stumbled upon this Forbes article that says, ending the stigma, celebrities are becoming more outspoken about plastic surgery. And it says that there are so many examples of celebrities regretting their procedures. So firstly, Bella Hadid admitted to having a rhinoplasty when she was 14 years old.
First of all, that's insane. But second of all, is it that they regret having the procedures, or that they regret not being honest about it? That was what I got from one of them.
Some of them regret their procedures. Bella Hadid said that she regrets her rhinoplasty. It's insane to me that it's even legal to do a procedure like that on someone so young. 14 years old is way too young to consent to a change like that.
They did an episode of the show Everwood that I keep talking about. Like, I love my teen dramas too. They did an episode where the main character of the show he's a doctor. He's got a patient in there she gets breast implants at 17 because her mom lets her do it, and that was a big, like, in 2004. Crazy. And it's really funny to watch all of the main doctor, the main host of that show is like a kind of he's a New York liberal, and the small town doctor that was there before him, they have a really fun dynamic where, like, the one is very cantankerous and rude, but they're buds. They're still buds. He's more conservative, and they go back and forth, and they kind of accept that their issues are different. And they have a really funny back and forth about the legalization of marijuana, where the conservative doctors, we've got pills for that. And, like, now thinking about where we're at 20 years from now, like the opiate epidemic being what it is, like, he was totally wrong. But they're on this, they go back and forth on this about, like, is it right for a 17-year-old to get plastic surgery? They were talking about it more about what it does for they weren't talking about necessarily the physical repercussions. They were talking about psychologically, what does it do to someone at 17 to start telling them when they're 17, you should change how you look, because you haven't even been giving yourself enough time to mature into who you're supposed to be as an adult to grow comfortable with yourself.
And it's absolutely wild that the conversation in the 2000s about a 17-year-old getting breast implants is the precursor to the current conversation about whether someone even younger than 17 should be able to consent to a double mastectomy. Like, it's insane that those two things have been represented in media, and we've shifted so quickly. But these other examples, for instance, Kylie Jenner, at first she denied that she got lip fillers, which is an insane lie because it's so obvious.
I never got lip fillers.
Yeah, she said she regrets not being upfront about it in the first place, and then eventually she got them dissolved.
You can do that?
You can. It doesn't totally go back to normal because you did stretch out the skin.
Yeah.
But you can dissolve filler.
Does that make it worse then? Because then it's like stretched out but not full?
Yeah, it's deforming. And then there's this other model named Linda Evangelista who I believe we might have talked about before. She has come out talking about how she has been botched by a cool sculpting procedure that she says left her brutally deformed. She's been vocal about the permanent consequences of plastic surgeries that are sold to people as products. And when I see a doctor like the one quoted here who is experienced in doing the so-called facial feminization surgeries.
Is that like what happened for Ollie London?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't trust when they say they consult their patients and figure out whether those patients are in a right state of mind to get those surgeries. Your ultimate interest is lining your pockets.
Yeah.
So he said constantly being in front of a camera and having to perform for a huge audience can be extremely demanding.
Are we talking about Ollie London now? We're not talking about Ollie London yet, right?
No, okay. I was just going into the context.
All right.
He said, more importantly, in this line of work, confidence levels are key to performance. These procedures are more often than not an attempt by these stars to boost their confidence levels, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with someone getting what they need to make their jobs easier. So it just seems extremely manipulative, especially coming from somebody who performs procedures on people with gender dysphoria.
Yeah, that's where I draw the line. Look, I don't have a problem with adults doing this to themselves if they want to. I would hope that outside of like if something happens, like if something happened to change what you look like before, that makes sense to me a lot of times. And I don't have a problem. Like if you have low self-esteem and you want to do this, it's not my place to tell you. I don't know if that's necessarily the way to do it, but I can't tell you not to. But also,
your point of view on this is exactly like the imbalance I'm pointing out is that the stigma around getting cosmetic plastic surgery procedures, invasive or non-invasive, is continually declining.
Yeah.
While the stigma around reversing those procedures, especially in the context of gender transition and detransitioning, is going up. So like Ollie London, for instance, he's a social media influencer who previously identified as a woman but is a biological male. He has announced that he is detransitioning. He is not going through with certain procedures that he thought that he wanted before because he realized that he actually needed to confront some identity issues within himself.
Yeah.
He's been going on a bit of a media press tour that we've talked about before, kind of going it for the anti-woke angle, which I find kind of inauthentic.
Oh, I
don't trust everything he says. I'm just saying, like, this is a story that a lot of people need to tell, and he's only one of them.
Anti-wokeness to me most of the time comes off extremely vapid and surface level now.
It's just like someone like Ollie London is getting all of the attention in this subject because he has made so much content about just a self-destructive level of obsession with K-pop stars.
But this comes
He's
later.
He's obsessed with like looking like Jimin from BTS or Rosé from Blackpink specifically. But
this is later on. Like he's made these ideological changes.
Yeah, those ideological changes happened after he announced the detransition.
It's not like a Blair White who goes through what she went through while maintaining pretty consistent political and social beliefs through the line, right? Like throughout. Like Blair White
this is like a very stark
contrast,
like very swift change in opinions for Ollie London,
which is why I find Blair White to be so engaging, right? That she's been able to, like, it can't be easy to live that life, to be that person in the circle that you're in, because whether people want to admit it or not, both sides are vicious against people that don't conform to what they want. Like, I do believe that. Like, as much as I believe that there's more logic and there's a lot more acceptance culturally on what we would consider now the right, it's not like you're not going to still get attacked in certain circles, because especially whether it's for religious purposes, there are, I still get messages sometimes where like people, like, I made like a joke about something to do with somebody took a clip I made about like Tipper Gore and the Satanic Panic out of context, and they're like, oh, it's still a problem, and then they like proselytize to me for like a page, and I'm like, dude,
you care,
you don't need to do that right now. But I'm saying, like, it can't be easy to do that. This feels like for Blair White, it was actually part of who she is, so she's being philosophically and ideologically consistent. I have questions about somebody like Ollie London making that change so quickly and so publicly,
and not just the change in identity, in how he identifies, but also politically.
No, that's what I'm more interested in that.
Yeah. So here is Ollie London's comment about the reaction to this detransitioning that he's going through. I've been bombarded with abuse for the last few weeks since sharing my transition story, originally on Fox News and Entertainment News. The abuse I received has been awful. I describe certain elements of the trans lobby as a cult. He said they celebrate you becoming trans and try to push you and persuade you to transition and give you positive reinforcement that you're a great person. However, when you decide to leave the cult, they vilify you, cast you aside, hurl abuse and death threats in an effort to silence you.
That is absolutely straight out of the cult playbook.
Yeah, and that's absolutely, I totally believe that they're doing that. And it's insane that this is the reaction when someone wants to reverse a gender transition, but when Kylie Jenner reverses her, lip filler injections, everyone's like, "You go, queen."
Well, one is related to radical gender theory, and one is not.
Yeah.
And that one is, here's what it is. Like, to me, is it a cult? I think it's absolutely become a severe, virulent social contagion. And I believe that there are plenty of people that are legitimately I think you disagree with me. I believe there are people that consider themselves trans and do not are not bad actors, that feel that they were born in the wrong body. Whether we want to talk about what that means, who they are, is it a case of a mental illness? Is it a case of it's just what it is? I don't know enough about it, but I do believe there are some good actors. But I believe the majority of the social contagion at the top of that pyramid are the cultist, ideologically enforced extremists who want to use like harsh language, threats, and they woo you in with, oh my God, come to our group, join us. You're just like us. We love it here. Like, we are so proud of you. You're coming into your truth. Remember, they love that term, your truth. Mm-hmm. And then when you back out or you don't agree with them, and I believe that all political classes and ideological groups do this without exception, when you go out of it, the worst of the worst will call you awful. I'm not saying that it's any worse or better on any side, but there's always going to be those members of every group that are not going to take it well because they feel so strongly about their cause that any pushback is bad press for them.
Right. And in Ollie London's case specifically, I noticed that he's a bit of an expert troll and attention seeker on the internet, which is unfortunate considering that he's starting a conversation that a lot more reasonable people have started and not gotten the same response. I mean, he teased a presidential bid on Twitter saying, "As a politician, I'll stand up for women and children and protect freedom of speech. The world has so much division and we need unity. Children need to be protected from harmful ideologies and women need to be respected and not silenced. I will fight against woke culture."
It just feels like that was like he literally like wrote down all the talking points and he's like, I will fight again. Like, did he mention Drag Queen Story Hour? He should have mentioned Drag Queen Story Hour.
I'm sure he has somewhere on this press tour.
But here's the thing. Maybe Ollie London isn't the hero we deserve, but he's the hero. like if somebody can stop the Drag Queen Story Hours and stop abusing our kids, if it has to be Ollie London, maybe that's the movie will be made one day. It's like, it's not the hero you thought you were going to get, but that's who ends up saving the day. I don't know. Who am I to know? The whole world is insane. Donald Trump was the president and things are nuts.
Who knows? But best of luck to you, Ollie London, and don't listen to the haters.
Thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.